In 1954, I was a member of a group of 4-H leaders that attended a conference in the North Dakota State University and organized the State 4-H Council. It was kind of an honor to be able to be in on that. But it took 2-3 days of organization to get that state council, the bylaws written up and everything that goes with it. Arlene was confirmed August 22nd of 1954, and Holly was born April 7th of 1954 on a Wednesday in Cooperstown. Holly was baptized May 16, 1954 by Reverend John Choi. Ray came up to the farm. Our runway was up on the hill, so it is real nice to that'll clear off, a lot quicker than it did down around the building. So gosh, he could come up there, and of course the cattle kept the date down, so it wasn't too bad at all to land there with an airplane. And of course he didn't take an awful lot of space either. In September of 1954, I soloed up in Edwin Utegard's field south of the buildings. That is an interesting. That's something that you never forget either. Is when you take off alone in an airplane and fly the pattern and look around to see who is in the back seat, and there's nobody there, and you know that you got to get down again. Well, that is something different too. Quite a bit different. So that is, after I'd soloed, why gosh, I wasn't scared to go up alone anymore at all. I didn't take too much coaxing to get me to go anymore then. May was confirmed November 28th of 1954. In 1955, I got my amateur radio license, K0GGI, of June of 1955. Oliver helped me get that. And I got him to thank for instructing me so that I could pass the test on it. Then in the fall of 1955, we moved to town for school purposes. We had 2 kids in high school and 2 kids in grade school. The 2 kids in grade, we couldn't get the 2 kids in grade school and the 2 kids in high school in time, each one of us, so we bought a house in town from Ed Wright and paid $1,500 for it. It didn't have sewer or water, but I installed a sewer and water in the house. I didn't think that was necessary, so I had Make have a cream can. I'd go up to the city hall and get a cream can for water. And my God, every time I come home with the car, that darn cream can was standing there. 8-gallon can. I was getting sick and tired of it, so I got the city dads to come in and dig a trench and install sewer and water. We were accustomed to sewer and water out on the farm, and when we got into town and didn't have it, well, by gosh, it got to be a big problem. And it got to be so sickening to think that every time I'd drive up into the yard, why, that damn can was standing there wanting to get filled with water. And there was no limit to it, so I installed a bathroom, and there was an outside toilet there at the house before we got sewer and water in there. So we didn't use water for toilet facilities, but I soon understood that we couldn't be working with that all winter. This is in the fall yet. Well, I got my license for amateur radio in June, and then in the fall I started working Oliver. He was down in Tucson, Arizona. Started working him on 10 meters, and we worked him once a week all winter. Missed a couple of times, I guess, where we couldn't get through, but I was pretty religious on it, that I'd make sure that I was around when it got the day and the hour that we were supposed to get a hold of him, while I was around. My first radio station was a Globe Scout, and a heat kit VFO. When I had an S-38 Helicrafters for a receiver. Gee, that VFO drifted all over the country, and the QRM, the way could I separate anything with the S-38? So I just kind of I had power enough. It was only about 40 watts in this Globe Scout, but I could get a good signal into Tucson, Arizona. But that doggone VFO drifted, you know, so there was no limit to it. He had to follow along with his tuning to keep track of me. First I was above the fundamental frequencies, and then below, and gosh, it was just no limit to it. In 1956, we moved back on the farm in the spring, and then in the fall we got school buses. So we were out on the farm then for several years. Then we helped Patsy buy a house in Moorhead. She was too young to own her own real estate, or to own her own house, so we had to sign for it. She made the payments, and everything was going along real good. We never did have any problem with her as far as financing the house is concerned. She was happy with getting the home, and instead of paying rent, why she had this home and got along real good with it. Then in that fall, then we sold a house to Limas. That'd be some Limas down by Karnak. There's houses southwest of the nursing home. This house is still standing there. So they lived in it for 3-4 years before they decided to move out. Well, the mother died, and the girl moved over to Blaben. In 1957, I completed 15 years in 4-H leadership. Got a certificate for July 10th of 1957. Then we experienced our first field day picnic, the last weekend in June. We had Ed Olson and Vic Rivers and Harry Long and Oliver, plus several others in attendance. We had that down below the barn, in between the barn and the river, out on the farm. Then in that spring, then, Ed Olson and I went down to the Karnak Railroad Bridge and got suckers and bullheads. And I had an 8-gallon can, and Ed had a 5-gallon can that we filled up. We decided on our way back that we'd leave them in Cooperstown and have them smoked. So that's what we done. We had them smoked, and boy, they were real good. That has been an annual event ever since. We always go down there, but it's more than 8-gallon cans now. You get to be a lot more of them. Then in 1957, I got checked out in a PA-12. That is in June 5th of 1957 at Valley City. Stanley Grody flew me down then I could fly it back again, but I had to have him fly me down so I could get checked out in it with a flight instructor at Valley City. And I flew that thing for many miles after that. I was still a student flyer. In the spring of '58, I made up my mind to get a private license. That was on April 17th of 1958. I went down to Valley City and took flight instruction, and I said to May that we were going I was going to have my license before I come back. So I took a few hours of flight instruction in preparation for the private test.